When you order a unit of Mindful Math, you will be sent immediately the PDF version of the curriculum booklet that comes with an introduction of what this curriculum is like, what it's about, and shows you everything that will be included and where to find it. Gives you an introduction about me and my background and why I created this curriculum. It also gives you a good description of how to use these lessons, and the main things that you need to know for using these lessons is you're given several different elements of each lesson, things like a warm-up, teacher's guide, whiteboard practice problems, review games, things like that. There's a bunch of different components, and you get a checklist and you get to decide which components you want to use of each lesson. So if you want to make it longer and have them practice more, you can do all of it. If you just want to get through it kind of quickly, or if it's something they're already pretty good at, you don't have to do the entire lesson. You can pick whatever components you want. And then you also can pick the timeline of how quickly or how slowly you'd like to go through each one. And then you get to choose if you want your student to learn it independently on their own, or if you would like to do it more parent-led and be the one teaching them the lesson. I also provided a sample weekly schedule of how you could lay out the lesson if you want it to take an entire week. This is just an example. You don't have to do anything that it says on here. It's up to you. And I also laid out the sample school year calendar of just an option for how you could fit this all into a school year. But then I gave you a blank space to put what you think you want your weekly schedule to look like and what you think you want your school year calendar to look like for these lessons. You get to see the scope and sequence of what order everything goes in the 2 elementary levels here, or if you ordered a middle school level, then you'll be able to see everything in all the middle school levels as well, kind of see what order things are and what topics will be coming up. I do use and recommend a few online programs in this curriculum, and so this is just a description of those and how they work, but again, they're all optional. You only need to use them if you'd like to. I also provide optional homework assignments that students can do. So this is kind of a description of those and where they come from and how you can access them if you'd like to. Have some recommendations for how to create the perfect learning environment while you're doing these lessons with your student. And once you're ready to get started, each lesson will come with an overview. So there's 4 lessons in every unit. And so each lesson will have an overview of what the topic's going to be for that lesson, what materials you'll need, and a checkbox for them, any optional materials you might need. And then, like I said earlier, these are all the elements of the lesson, and you get to pick which ones of these you want your student to do. So if you want them to do all of them, then you can have them do the whole thing. If you don't want them to do the warm-up, you just really want them to do the lesson and maybe the review game, then you can just pick those 2 options. So it's meant to be flexible, so you can choose whatever you'd like your student to do. Then each lesson will also have optional homework you can have them do if you want them to do some extra practice, as well as the IXL sections that relate to the topic in that lesson if you do want them to do a little bit more practice on IXL as well. Then after the overview, there will be 2 different versions of the lesson. So the first one will have the parent-led lesson. And so these are where you can get all of the resources you'd need to teach this yourself. This is where you would click there and download them all, and then you print whichever ones you want. And then which includes the teacher's guide, and then also it includes a link to the video lesson that you could watch if you are stuck on any parts of the lesson and not sure the best way to teach a certain thing. You can watch the lesson yourself beforehand, and it will give you an idea of how I like to teach the lesson. And then after the parent-led version of the lesson plan, you will also get the student-led version of the lesson plan, where here's also will be listed everything that you need to print for them and to have ready for them to be able to do the lesson completely on their own. If you choose the parent-led lesson plan and you want to teach it yourself, you'll get a download of all of the slides that go with each lesson. And every lesson will start with a warm-up that goes over problems from the previous lesson or information they need to know from before to help with today's lesson. And then it gives you all of the slides that go with the current lesson, and you can either keep these slides on a computer and display them on there while you're teaching, or you can print them out. And I often recommend if you print them out, then you can put them into a page protector and then use a marker, a dry erase marker, and write on it like a whiteboard and teach on it that way. But you can choose to use these slides, or you can print them and just write on them with a pen or a pencil. And then after the lesson slides are all done, you are given some whiteboard problems that they can practice. I call them whiteboard problems because I have my students do them on whiteboards. You can have your students do these practice problems on a whiteboard or on a piece of paper, or you could print these and put them into page protectors and turn that into a whiteboard for them as well. But these are just practice problems to have them practice the work that you just learned in the lesson. And also, while they are following along with your lesson from these lesson slides that are provided, there's a worksheet that goes along with them that they'll be filling in. And their worksheet has pretty much everything that's on your slides is on their worksheet as well. And so they're just filling it all in. It's just a way for them to keep all the work and the information together without having to try and take notes on everything. They just have to fill in parts along with it. So here's an example. This is the worksheet that goes along with the example slides you just saw. So you see that these have all the same things that your slides that you would be teaching from had on it, and your student just fills it in from here. And you can choose to print this either in 2 separate pages, or you can print it front and back, and then you can choose to print it in color or in black and white as well. So every lesson comes with a worksheet that goes along with the lesson slides for that lesson. With the parent-led lesson plans, you also get a full teacher guide with each lesson that has a picture of the slide that you're teaching from with the answers filled in. So you'll have the answer key in front of you while you're teaching. So usually you would hold on to this. You would have this in front of you while you're teaching your student from the blank slides. And so it shows you an example of each slide, and then it gives you a brief description beforehand of what you should be expecting to have your student do, what you should be expected to do, what kind of questions to ask and things. And then you'll see that it also says if you want a demonstration of how to teach that slide, you can watch the lesson video. So if you want to see how I normally teach it to help you figure out the best way to teach it, if you don't feel comfortable just trying to figure it out on your own, then you can watch the video demonstration to see the best way to teach that specific slide. And then at the end of the teacher guide, it has also the answer key for the whiteboard problems if you do choose to have your student do the whiteboard practice problems as well. For the student-led lesson, if you choose to have them do the lesson independently on their own, you'll be given a download for the warm-up problem that also comes with answer key. So then you can have them check their answers as well after they do their warm-up. There's a separate download for the whiteboard practice problems if you choose to have them do those. So they're each on their own slide, and you can give them the slides to work on. And then there's also at the end the answer key if you want them to check their work, or if you want to check their work for them later. At the end of every unit, there's an optional test if you choose to give this to your students, if you want to assess and see how they did on the whole unit overall. So here is just an example of the test that would go with this unit. And then you're also given an answer key, so that way you can check their work afterwards and see how they did, and you can decide if you want to give them some kind of grade or not. Each lesson comes with video along with it that students can either watch on their own if you choose to have them do this version, or you can watch this as well as the parent if you want to watch it beforehand to get an idea of how things are taught, or if you want to watch it along with them to help them with the lesson if you're doing parent-led but you still want to be able to teach along with the lesson. There are points along the lesson where it tells students if they are watching it on their own and doing the student-led version, it tells them to pause and try the problem on their own, and then push play again and to watch the rest of it and to check their answer and see if they got it right from there.